Shane Van Gisbergen's insane Watkins Glen comeback let's set the scene. He was out front, leading the pack, looking comfortable. Then came the pit stop that flipped everything upside down. He rejoined the race in 24th place with just 24 laps left on the clock. Most drivers in that spot would have quietly accepted a points finish and moved on. Shane Van Gisbergen? He was already plotting how to win the whole thing. And spoiler alert, he pulled it off. At Watkins Glen on May 10th, SVG delivered one of the most jaw-dropping comebacks NASCAR fans have ever been treated to. The Go Bowling at the Glen became his personal masterclass, and he drove away with his first victory of the 2026 season tucked under his belt. But here's the twist. At one point during the race, he nearly talked himself out of believing it was even possible. The road course king does it again. If you've been paying even a little bit of attention to NASCAR lately, you already know that road courses are basically Shane's backyard. This victory was his 6th win out of his last 7 attempts on a road circuit. Let that sink in for a second. 6 out of 7. That's not a hot streak. That's flat-out dominance. On the ovals and superspeedways, though, that's been a different story altogether. He's been hunting for that same spark, trying to crack the code on tracks that don't suit his style quite as naturally. So every time a road course rolls around on the schedule, expectations shoot through the roof, and somehow he keeps meeting them. Even so, SVG was quick to pump the brakes on any idea that it was a smooth ride. After the race, he said plainly, "Oh, for sure, but it's not easy. Everyone's really good," and he meant it. A birthday weekend to remember. Let's rewind to Saturday, May 9th, because that's where the magic really started brewing. That day happened to be Shane's 37th birthday. And how did he choose to celebrate? By going out and absolutely nailing qualifying to claim pole position. That's one way to treat yourself. Then Sunday came around and he handed himself an even bigger gift. He won Stage 2 and led 74 of the BMI race's 100 laps. 74. The next closest driver in laps led was Ty Gibbs with just 17. It wasn't a competition, it was a statement. The OC moment. Here's where the story gets really spicy. On lap 62, a full course caution came out, and more than half the field dove onto pit road for fresh rubber. Ty Gibbs from Joe Gibbs Racing led the charge, joined by Connor Zilish, who, awkwardly enough, is Shane's own teammate at Trackhouse Racing. Shane stayed out. Tyler Reddick stayed out. A handful of others too, maybe 6 or 7 cars total. And that's when it hit Shane like a bucket of cold water. He grabbed his radio and, in his own unfiltered words, said, "Well." He genuinely believed his team had just handed the race away. As he explained it afterward, "When I think Tyler and I stayed out and then it looked like the whole field pitted, I went, oh, sut. I think there were 6 or 7 who stayed out, but a few of them were on better tires than us. I think AJ was. So there he is, leading the lap 64 restart, feeling cornered, knowing that drivers like AJ Allmendinger were sitting on fresher tires just waiting to pounce. Not exactly a comfortable position to be in. The team makes the big call. Then his crew chief Steven Doran made the gutsy call. "Hold on, don't pit yet. Keep pushing." Shane finally came down pit road on lap 77, well after everyone else had already cycled through, under green flag conditions. The result? He lost a mountain of track position and tumbled all the way back to 24th place. 24th, with 24 laps to go. The gap to the leaders? A whopping 29 seconds. In racing, 29 seconds might as well be a different zip code. The comeback nobody saw coming, but something shifted in Shane's head at that moment. He put his foot down, literally, and started producing his fastest laps of the entire race, on old tires. That one detail tells you everything you need to know about how hard that man was driving. He and his spotter Josh Williams figured out a communication system that actually worked. Early on, the team was feeding him lap times, but those numbers weren't giving him what he needed. So he asked for something simpler and more useful: the gap to the leader and the number of laps remaining, called out every single lap coming out of turn 1. That was it. 2 numbers. But those 2 numbers changed everything. As the laps ticked by, Shane could feel the gap shrinking. He said, "At first, I think it was 27 seconds, 20 laps. So I was a bit worried." But then the drivers ahead of him started fading. Their tires were giving up. He noticed it immediately. Their tires weren't going to get any newer once they fell off into the 75s and 76. Lap after lap, he carved his way through traffic like a hot knife through butter. Some drivers gave him room and he glided past. Others made him work for it. And he said those were actually the most fun moments of the whole race. "I was just carving everyone up." The people that didn't lay over, you had to put good moves on. That's the most fun. The pass that won it all on. Lap 94 of 100, Shane caught Ty Gibbs, who had been running at the front, and made the decisive pass. And from that point on, it was over. He didn't just hold on, he pulled away. He crossed the finish line more than 7 seconds clear of second place. The race wasn't even close by the end. He described the moment when he knew it was going to happen. "When the gap started getting less seconds than how many laps to go, I sort of knew it was going to happen at that point." That's one of the best moments you can have as a driver. He was full of praise for the people around him too. Thank you to Trackhouse. We weren't very good in practice, and then qualifying was amazing. Good tweaks. Then today, what a race car. Steven made great calls. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. And then to run them down like that, very, very special. The history books are taking notice. The praise from within the NASCAR world came flooding in. Legendary commentator Mike Joy drew a comparison between Shane and the iconic Dan Gurney, and that is about as high a compliment as you can receive in motorsport. This was Shane's 7th career Cup Series win, and every single one of them has come on a road course. That ties him with Chase Elliott for the most road course victories among active drivers. He also already holds the record for most NASCAR Cup wins by any driver born outside the United States, a record that speaks to just how remarkable his journey into American stock car racing has been. Looking further down the all-time list, he now sits just behind Tony Stewart, 8 wins, and Jeff Gordon, 9 wins, on the all-time road course win tally. At the rate he's going, those names aren't as out of reach as they might seem. Second place deserves some credit. To it would be a shame not to mention Michael McDowell, who had himself a genuinely solid afternoon. The 41-year-old finished runner-up and led 5 laps, his first top 3 results since June 2024 when he was second at Sonoma. It had been a rough stretch heading into Watkins Glen. In the 8 races before this one, he'd only cracked the top 20 twice. McDowell was refreshingly honest about it. "It's been a rough few weeks, but that's what is great about NASCAR. You're only 1 week away from grabbing a top 5 finish and having some momentum on our side." He also tipped his hat to SVG. "We knew this was a track we could come to, and if we executed like we did today, we could contend for the win. We still needed a little bit more to hang with Shane Van Gisbergen." McDowell drives for Spire Motorsports and has 2 career wins, Daytona in 2021 and the Indy Road Course in 2023. Ty Gibbs rounded out the podium in 3rd. What's next coming up next weekend? The Cup Series shifts gears entirely. No points racing, just glory on the line. The annual All-Star race is heading to Dover Motor Speedway for the very first time in the event's history. Dover is a tight, demanding 1-mile oval that has hosted a cup race every year since it opened back in 1969. The All-Star event spent the last 3 years at North Wilkesboro, but now it's making the move to Delaware. Green flag drops just after 1 p.m. on May 17th, and it'll run 350 laps. Should be a great one, especially for fans who've been curious to see what an all-star format looks like on one of NASCAR's most punishing tracks.